All right. Good morning, Aquarius. Good afternoon, Aquarius, depending on where you're watching. So good to see everybody. I was ready to go on time today. I hope all of you are as well. This morning was super active for me when it came to dreams and energy coming through. So I'm glad I get a chance to be with you today to share all of the information that wants to come through. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. This is the reading for Aquarius. It's for the upcoming month, for June. And we're going to be looking at things that will be coming through for all aspects of your chart. I specifically fine-tune this for Sun, Rising, Moon. You can also use it for Venus or anything else that you happen to know. The overall format is here. I always begin with channeled messages first, then we get into the Celtic Cross. Channeled messages are part of the reading. It's just basically raw intuition. And so without further delay, let's get into that. So this morning, as I was waking up, there were several dreams that I had, but the last one, I could hear the cameras, like the old-fashioned DLSR cameras where they actually have a mirror in them. I could hear the kind of like clicking, and I saw the flashing. So to me, this represents a moment where you're getting really close to bringing something to the finish line, a photo finish, if you will. And of course, because of the camera lenses, the whole idea of visibility, and optics came through. And we'll look at a little bit later talking about contracts and details, but these comprise the main messages here. So let's talk about the photo finish first and foremost, since I already hinted at that a little bit. So to me, the photo finish is really a Six of Wands moment. Success, being able to accomplish something, and this sense sometimes when you're succeeding of surprising yourself, like, oh my God, I did that. I can't believe I did that. So the main message I got with this first image in my mind was to trust yourself. And I don't have room to put every single image that comes to mind, but I would also say keep in mind the Two of Wands, because part of success is the visualization, Two of Wands and then High Priestess. So seeing it, believing it, manifesting it. And this is the result of the sort of cooperation between the Two of Wands and the High Priestess. You're there, I can see it happening for you. You just have to believe in yourself. Disbelief will create unnecessary challenges, blocks, and hurdles. They don't need to be there. That was the message from Spirit. If you're ready to succeed, let's do it. Optics. Obviously, optics, just a fancy word for a lot of different eyes on you and how things look and sound and feel to others. So a little degree of empathy is going to be important. This is particularly for those of you that are business owners or working in a big company and you're worried about how things might be perceived. Use your High Priestess energy to anticipate, to navigate, to communicate, so that when you decide to do something, people understand and you're going to get a lot less pushback. Here's the cool thing with intuition. You can use it to read cards. You can use it to see what's coming through in your own life. You can also use it to be successful in work and business and to also help other people get past their blocks. Intuition, it's not contained to just sort of like reading cards. So I'm encouraging you to open your third eye and see what's coming through opportunity-wise, communicate your wishes, and use this to your benefit. What's really important here is to follow the inner moral compass, though. So the other side of the optics coin is that sometimes what's popular isn't what's right. We don't have to think much further back than the lunchroom table at school where certain kids weren't allowed to sit with others because you're not cool, you're not popular, you're not a cheerleader, you're not a football player, whatever it was. There were certain like cliques. So sometimes you have to break through some of those cliques or some of those expectations and really do what's right, even if you're not going to be part of the popular crowd, because the lens of history is much different than that lens at the lunchroom table. So history tends to see people that did the right thing, even when it was unpopular, as being very favorable. So really follow that and be as inclusive as possible and try to keep an eye on everything. Now let's go from that sort of large, wide-angle lens to a very up-close, close-up lens here with the fine print. So the other thing that I woke up, and this was more just a knowing, so clairsentience, was that it was going to be important to pay attention to the fine print. And there's so many little pieces to this. So from a business perspective, it's about compliance, like making sure that if there's any laws or regulations or rules, you're doing that. And this is going to help you with legal and financial documents in particular. Pay attention to the small details. I recounted some things last week where I had to cease working with a company that I was going to possibly switch some business over to because they couldn't get the details right. They couldn't spell my name right. They picked the wrong company name. They were not handling other information associated with my company correctly. And I'm like, if it doesn't start off well, it's never going to be okay. The only reason I caught it, they were trying to force me through signatures. And I'm like, wait a second, that's wrong. That's wrong. You didn't listen to me on this. So sometimes you have to be your own best advocate. It's not about even, people looking at you and saying you made a mistake. You may be finding mistakes where others should be doing things right. So definitely keep that lens sharp and focus on those details. Those small details can also help you get out of something if you need to as well. If someone missed something, there might be a loophole. Here's my final note, and it's so important. It's better to delay. You can always communicate the reason behind a delay versus cleaning up and mopping up. So if you have to do damage control, it's worse. Trust me, it's worse. Because then you've already failed at doing what you would try to do. And it's easier to say, we care about quality, we care about you, or whatever. You could just say, I'm not comfortable moving forward for my own safety, so no, I'm not going to do this. That's what I did with my not signing a contract. I reversed everything, null and void, because I was like, this isn't going to work. We're not going to even go through the process. So you can always hit the brakes. You don't have to move forward if mistakes are made, or if you're not comfortable, or if you're not clear. Read the fine print, and if you don't understand it, ask for some clarity. That's part of your rights here. All right, so just as a quick review before we get into the Celtic Cross, I see success on the horizon. One of the important things in the precipice of this sort of success is to be making sure that you're doing what feels right to you, not what's popular, and definitely keep an eye on the details. Keep great records right now. That's going to help you, and focus on the fine print. Let's let Apollo say hi. He's moved his bed really close to me. Actually, now he's sitting down. He says, all right, Dad, I'm fine. My little furry helper in the background is sort of, at the beginning of every reading, he has to move his bed all around, so apologies for that. All right, let's get started now. Again, if you just joined, we're going to get into the Celtic Cross. And the Celtic Cross is a chance for us to basically focus on the energy that's coming through in a nice visual format. So let's do it. Let's shuffle the cards and see what the next 6 to 8 weeks have to show. The devil's in the details. We got the devil at the center, and then we have this beautiful fountain card right over top of it. So oftentimes before we get to something really good, there's a block. We'll talk about that once I get all the cards spread out, but just give me a second here. Sorry, wrong one. To look at all of this. No, with Apollo, it's more than anything, a little bit of jealousy. He wants to be paid attention to. So he makes a little bit of noise in the background, but we love Apollo. Nice. Keeper of secrets. Okay. Interesting that we're seeing like the secret card and then also the devil card. So definitely transparency is going to be something that's important. Clarity and transparency. So if you need to look at the deck, you can always go to the pinned comment in chat, and also when it's on replay, it's the Fountain Tarot, and it's on my website. So I get a lot of questions. That's why I pin that question. You can just go there and see it. So there you go. And I'm not going to identify every Oracle deck, or it would just be a nonstop commercial. So, but the tarot decks are on my website, and always there if you need them. All right, give me 1 second. I'm going to just up the air conditioning a little bit as we do this, and then we'll get started. Thank you for waiting. Let's begin with the Catalyst card. The Catalyst card is something, just like the title said here, that initiates movement, that helps you make the necessary change. And because we got the devil at the center, we really want to focus on what to change and how to change it. All right, so the links came through Keeper of Secrets, and it says, take time out from the world and be the observer. So attention to details, which we talked about. Nothing can deserve you when you trust. That's an interesting way of putting it. Nothing can deceive you, when you trust your knowing. I got to look at it close up with my glasses. So the devil's in the details. You see other secrets and keep them sacred. In silence and solitude, you will find your own strength. Okay, there's a lot to unpack on this. I'm not a big fan of big paragraphs on oracle cards. So let's make it simple. So the main thing here is secrets. And the question is, should you keep it or should you not? Here's the thing. If you're not comfortable, in business, there's things like non-disclosure agreements, and there are certain times where it's important to protect intellectual property. That's okay. But if a secret makes you feel bad, if a secret hurts someone, you shouldn't keep the secret. That's devil energy. So there's protection of property, there's just doing the right thing, and then there is something where a secret hurts. If a secret hurts, it's never right. Simple kind of inner compass. So we don't need to read all these words to get that. The links is about fast action because it's a pretty fast cat and it can land on its feet. So if you need to speak up, speak up. And if there's someone that's doing something wrong, act quickly to rectify that. The message on this is connected to Seven of Swords, which is deceit, or the moon card. And so the links is saying, let's act quickly to stop this. Let's speak out if we don't feel good about it. And then the rest of the stuff, you're going to understand when and where you should speak up and when and where you don't need to. All right, let's focus now on the Celtic Cross. And as we gaze into this Celtic Cross, I always just like to take a quick look at the overall energy. Where is it taking us? What's the story? So the big story is an unblocking moment here. The devil is in the center, and so there is someone or something that is trying to kind of hold back what? The expansion. The fountain card in this deck would be like 23 or whatever. It's beyond the world card. So, 22. And so basically it's beyond expansion. It's a new door that's opening up. It's something that's unexpected but good. And so someone in your life could be looking at that and they're afraid of this expansion for you. So we'll look at that in a second. What I like here is you're really basically focusing on reclamation of power. I see that when we're looking at the future cards, they're pretty good. There's some joy and some happiness coming in. Things are starting to get a little bit easier when it comes to work. Overall, it's good. It's good energy. We just have to focus on the center card the most. All right, so let's begin with the devil card and talk about this for a second. What does the devil represent? Well, the devil can represent a few different things. It can represent a person in your life that's afraid of letting go. It can represent limiting beliefs or ideas. A lot of times you can be your own worst enemy when it comes to this, thinking, I can't do this, I won't do this, I don't deserve this. So the first thing I would say is when it comes to those limiting thoughts or ideas, release them. Everything in this spread shows me expansion and growth and development, and this is just an old pattern. It can also be something like an addiction in your life or something that just doesn't serve your growth or your happiness. So the devil's pretty easy to identify for each of us. Whatever your sort of energy is that anchors you or ties you down or holds you back or makes you feel less than, that's the thing to be mindful of, particularly at the beginning of the month, because this is kicking off the energy here. What's good though is I feel like some of you may be triggered by this because of an expansive event. This card reminds me of the final scene in 2001, A Space Odyssey, where we see Dave, right? Open the Stargate. Well, not open it, but basically go to the monolith, which is a Stargate. In the book version of it, not the movie, he says, my God, it's full of stars. We hear that in the sequel. And what we see here is it's full of stars. So there's this expansive energy coming through where you thought you knew everything or you thought you saw something and then someone's giving you even more than, or there's something different. You're pulled in another direction. I'll give you an example. Sometimes when you graduate from college, you have a degree and you thought that's what you were going to do. But when you get out into the real world, you're like, I actually feel really drawn to go over here. And it may be 180 degrees from what you studied. You never know how your studies are going to one day apply to what you do. But you have to follow your heart. You have to go where the energy is. That's something that I strongly believe in. If you receive blocks time and again, that's the universe protecting and redirecting you to go in another direction. And you want to honor that. So wherever the energy is, and that means your passion, that means where doors and windows are opening, doors and windows of opportunity, that's where you go. And other people in your life may say, but you did this and you worked hard for this. Well, who's to say that didn't help create this? Everything that you did up until this point created this. So don't doubt your power and don't let someone else kind of like project that sort of doubt in your vicinity. Okay? All right. So now as we take a look here at the Five of Cups in the deep past, we have redirection. And that's really what this is about. So the Five of Cups represents an opportunity for you to focus on what didn't go right or focus on this new understanding of what's in front of you. So for me, my Five of Cups moment from last week, for instance, was I spent maybe 2 or 3 hours working with a company that I didn't end up working with in the long run, but I probably saved myself weeks of times that would have been wasted because of their inaccuracies. So there's an expenditure, because everything in life, whether you're going to go to the cafe and buy a, coffee and you're going to spend a few pounds or a few dollars on that, that's an exchange of energy. You get to spend some money that you earned by spending time and then get some sort of food. So in life, sometimes we exchange time, which is another currency, and sometimes you can write it off and say, that was a write-off. I'm going to save time down the line. So if you spent time on something and it didn't pan out, but you learned from it, it is not a negative. You've saved yourself in the future. You have to kind of turn it around. We can look at a relationship. Maybe you were dating someone for a couple years, couple months, and it's like, oh, I wasted time. But did you? This time it seems like you might have recognized patterns. As long as you recognize a pattern and can release the pattern, you passed with flying colors. Whenever something doesn't work out, there's also something here that wants to work out. And he's not yet looking at the 2 cups behind him. That could be relationships, that could be opportunities, that could be just a hidden gem that's right there. So I'm encouraging you to look around and look beyond the expenditure or the waste, because it may not be a waste if you saved yourself time in the long run. Okay? Potential, not sort of what was lost. That's the key sort of focus here. All right. Now let's take a look at your recent past here. We have the Hierophant. Some of you are just getting organized right now, and this is a sort of nod of approval for getting your schedule together, getting your budget together. As you're doing that, continue to think outside of the box. So this Hierophant is not boxed in, and he's not afraid to look at stuff. It's almost like Pandora's box. He's willing to open it up and say, let's see what's inside. Let's face the fears. Let's look at the opportunities. Let's try it differently. I always like a Hierophant that's not conforming to the traditional Pope and disciple sort of thing. So this is much, much different. This is saying, all right, let's see what else I can do. But I'm also going to be mindful about it. I'm going to have a plan. We're going to figure this out. Okay? All right. The Hierophant can also represent gatekeepers in our life. And so for some of you, this is an acknowledgement that there's one more gatekeeper, one more sort of rite of passage that you need to do before you get to the next level, but you're tracking pretty nicely right now. Okay, let's take a look at the crowning card. We have the Magician in the crowning position, which is really auspicious. Yes, it's reversed, but it's still the Magician, folks. So the Magician is a chance for you to be discerning when it's reversed and decide, I can't do everything, but I'm going to do this. I'm going to focus on this and really put my energy behind it. The Magician reverse starts to trust his instinct, because when the card is upright, it's already there, but reverse, there can be sort of an intuition and you don't listen or you wait too long. So my encouragement here is don't try to do everything and believe yourself, believe your intuition when it comes through, so that you don't waste any additional time, or you can really kind of like embrace this moment of creation. And that's what this month is about for you. You have a chance to release or cut any of these ties that are connected to the devil. You have a chance to reimagine and think outside of the box. And you have a chance here, again, to surprise yourself by your ability to manifest quicker. You can manifest in real time here. Yes, the devil was at the center, but it's just before a major expansion. So don't hold yourself back from this expansive event here. We have the Ten of Cups in the near future. Some of you are starting to kind of feel like, hey, I want to expand my network. So from a professional perspective, this could be going to networking events. For some of you, maybe you've just recently gotten out of a relationship. The devil at the center can represent an old relationship. This is about figuring out how and when to sort of get back out there. The Ten of Cups is a promise that, yes, there may have been some challenges in the past, but not everything is like that. Not everyone is like that. And it's the promise of something good in the future. And yeah, you have to work a little bit to get to that point, but it's worth the effort. So we see two people here kind of jubilant and kind of dancing in circles. So the Ten of Cups is new love, new relationships, new opportunities, good news on the horizon. So we want to focus on that. Yes, there's been some challenges, but you've also earned this sort of cherry on top of some lovely dessert here because you've been through a lot. So imagine and embrace it and say, I'm ready to receive some good news. Love, abundance, and opportunity in the highest forms. That's definitely what the Ten of Cups wants to bring in for you. Let me take a quick drink and then we're going to see how you're showing up because I have a lot to say on this one. Okay. So this is the one, I would say it's the second card next to the devil that needs to be addressed a little bit. So the Eight of Swords is, if I can't see it, how can I believe it? It's skepticism. It can also be ignoring things. Two of Swords, Eight of Swords. I'll sweep it under the rug. I don't want to see it. I don't want to deal with it. Eight of Swords doesn't solve anything. I want to actually see the Eight of Swords in reverse because we want to take the blindfolds off. So here are my sort of thoughts on this for you. When it comes to yourself, you may not see your value or worth. You're here today, so I want to impart on you a couple of pieces of information. You have great skills and capacity to manifest. You are not limited, maybe like a teacher, a parent, or a friend told you in the past. You're just at the tip of the iceberg of what's possible. I'd like you to challenge existing things that you've been taught and try it differently. You're not supposed to follow in mom, dad, grandmother, grandfather's footsteps. You're your own person. Love who you want to love, do what you want to do. It's okay. You're supposed to be a little bit rebellious or you're supposed to break the mold. People don't always get that. People don't always see your perspective. So I want you to just see yourself as unique, singular, and be excited by the possibilities, okay? Some of you may be in a work or relationship environment where the other partner isn't validating you or isn't supporting you, or they may be ignoring you. And this card is saying, enough with that. You deserve to be seen. So this is about taking the blindfolds off. And just like we see in the environment card, it's a rebirth. It's a renaissance for you, okay? So this is you, and this is what you're capable of doing. So we have the Sun card. It's reclamation of power. It's having fun. It's a baby. It's one of the 2 or 3 baby cards. The Sun, the Six of Cups, and the Fool are all children. But this one is basically saying, you know what? It's my moment now. I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to do this. And if I've been holding back on anything, why am I holding back? Now is the moment to really to just go for it, okay? There may also be someone around you that tends to only think of themselves. We love children, but especially younger children, they don't know better and they actually do rely on you. So when the baby comes through and we're looking at an adult, the Sun card, it can be a man, it can be really just anyone. Divine masculine energy is attached to this, but it's someone in your life that will take as much as you're willing to give to them. So what you have to remind them is that you're here too. If this is for adults only, so for a coworker, for a boss, for a friend, if they're making it all about them, which would be narcissistic, what you want to really do is put some limits down and then lean on them and test it out a little bit and say, you know what, I really need some support on this, or I just need you to listen and see if it's give and take or if they're just taking, okay? So in some relationships, there could be someone that's just taking. For you, this is just a moment for you to shine, to have some fun, and to remember that you're part of the equation when it comes to all relationships. So don't be afraid to lean on others. Don't be afraid to raise your hand and say, hey, I really have a thought or an idea, or I want to be heard on this. I'm tired of not being a part of the conversation. You get to lean in a little bit on this, okay? It's a birthing card, so if you've been holding back or waiting on something, this is the time to take action on that. Protect intellectual property when it comes to something new. Contracts are really important. That's why I kind of homed in on that with the devil card here. So make sure that you're protecting yourself, that you're not skimping when it comes to legal advice. Go and pay an attorney to draft up a paper to read a contract. It's money well spent. You don't want to sort of like save in an area where you shouldn't be saving, okay? Opportunities. What's knocking on the door here? The Knight of Swords in reverse. So for some of you, there's a chance, this could be a revision or a different version of something that you thought of before. So one thing that I'm seeing here is that you're picking up something that you left in the past and saying, I want to try this again, but I'm going to do it differently. Knight of Swords acts pretty quickly. So what I'm seeing here is, for those of you that are applying for a job or that have been looking for love or looking for something, there may have been this sort of dearth or desert of energy for a while, but pow, out of nowhere, someone or something comes in and it demands your attention. That's the Sun, that's the Knight of Swords, that's also the devil energy. So what you have to decide is not do you deserve it, but do they deserve you? And are you getting a good enough sort of piece of the pie, and is there enough reciprocity with this? Be discerning. Push back, negotiate if you need to. And then if there is something that is good, it's a good match, act quickly. The door or window of opportunity could close as quickly as it opened. So, it's important to be discerning, but there might be some competition for some things like that. The other thing here is some of you are naturally creative, and this is about delivering, communicating something, whether it's through song or writing or other sort of delivery or production. This is getting it out there quicker, which is telling me something's closer to being done than you may realize. This is holding on to something long after it needs to get out there. And this little baby card, basically the Sun is saying it's time to release that. So this can be a creative project, and this is the release of it, and it's going to happen fast, and things are going to start to happen fast associated with that. And this is a lot of people cheering you on as well, okay? So I like all of that, actually, when it comes to work and personal development opportunities. It just feels like now's the time, and you could be holding yourself back with that devil card. Five of Wands in reverse. So in the upright position, the Five of Wands can sometimes be tedious. So I like that the Five of Wands is reversed. It's saying in this moment, you see that there are certain things that have to be done. There's certain types of work that you have to do, but you're seeing the long-term goals, and maybe you're getting better at delegating, or you're just having fun in the moment. Back when I was in high school and saving up for college, I worked in a restaurant, and I did like every task, from being a bus person to a waiter to being the host at the front to working catering events. And I didn't love the work, but I loved the people. And I love the cooperation. And at the time, I needed the money to pay for books and computer and other things. So I appreciated the purpose. And I knew that that was just one job of many that I would have. So I just tried to do a good job and have fun with the people that I worked with, knowing that after 2 to 3 years, I wouldn't have to do it again. So as a result, I have some good friends. I had a positive experience, and I didn't identify myself with that sort of moment in time. And if you can do that with certain tasks, there's some things we have to do every year. You have to you have to do your taxes, for instance. Some things you have to do every week. You have to do the laundry. You have to clean the house. You have to, put the dishes in the dishwasher or hand wash them. Whatever you're doing, some of these tasks are just part of existing on the planet. If you can listen to the radio, if you can hang out, if you can do it with a friend, all of these things can make it a lot more manageable. So finding the joy in some of the monotonous tasks so you can get to the good stuff, that's what the Five of Wands in reverse is saying. Don't sweat that kind of stuff. It's not worth it. There are better things on the horizon for you, and some things we just have to get through, okay? What I do like about this month so far, and then we're going to expand it, is overcoming limits, opening a door, an unexpected door, being able to think outside of the box, having some friends, family, or connections coming into the mix when you least expected it, and then ultimately you being able to find a way to be at peace with this new sort of process, this new chapter in your life. As we saw here with the links, things are going to move quickly when you're ready. And when you speak up against something that's wrong, things could get fixed quickly. When you speak up and say, I need something or I want something, people will pay attention to that. Communication actually is also connected to the links. So that's going to bring you that action that you need. All right, we're going to now expand the forecast to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll begin with health, mind, body, and spirit. A reminder as I dig into this expanded forecast that I'm here to look at energy. So if there's anything going on with finances, your body, or your emotional self, obviously work with a professional. But looking at the energy of things, let's focus first on your health card. So we have the miracle of forgiveness. Archangel Jeremiel, I can't even say the name. So this is an angel I've not heard of before, but forgiveness is a universal energy that I think we've all heard of. It says, thank you for helping me understand the process of forgiveness. Honestly, this forgiveness can begin within. The hardest person sometimes to forgive in anything is yourself. Like, I wish I could have done that. I wish I would have done this. If only. And so instead of going into the could have, should have, or would have state, you can say, I forgive myself for not knowing this, and I'm grateful now to have the knowledge. Take the attitude and put a GR in front of it and have some gratitude. I do it all the time when I'm feeling an attitude or a mood. I'm like, how can I bring this into gratitude? What is it teaching me? What will I not do in the future? How can this be a building block to a better tomorrow? So if you can use gratitude as a stepping stone to forgiveness, miraculous things can start to happen. You'll feel better, doors will open up, and you're going to pull in people in your life that have already done some of the work as well, okay? Also, the reason this came through in health. Resentment, anger, jealousy, revenge. These don't accomplish anything. They're actually kind of poisonous. So when you sit and ruminate on someone and you just send anger, it's a two-sided sword. It hurts you, it hurts them. Now, anger is a valid emotion, but you have to figure out how to transmute it. You have to go to the source, and you have to figure out how you can better defend yourself and also heal yourself so that doesn't keep coming forth, right? Because we can't exist permanently in a place of anger. So forgiving yourself is step one. Understanding the motives of the other person, and you may not be able to forgive them in this lifetime. Hopefully you can get there, but at least understanding how it happened and committing to yourself, I won't do it again, so I forgive myself. And I'm going to work on trying to move past that. You'll find your own path to forgiveness, but I will tell you this, when you get there, it feels really good because it frees you. The devil it works with all those energies. If we pull up the traditional card, it's just about chains. So the devil wants you to hold on to the past. It wants you to get angry. It wants you to seep in those emotions because then it makes you feel things that you don't like. And so at the base of this card, we have chains. And that's what those emotions basically do. They chain or anchor us down. And the devil's just there having a good time as you're doing this. So release the chain. At least say, I'm not attached to this person. Indifference is the first step for some of you. And the sort of if you can find a sense of detachment, indifference, or at least neutrality, that's a step towards forgiveness. To think, I don't even feel anything so much about this person. And through distance and time, you'll get there. You got to go through energy like the Six of Swords, the Four of Swords, maybe even the Fool before the forgiveness happens. But just take a step. Take a step away from that energy, and that'll be a good thing for you. All right, let's go into a broader sort of messaging for everybody. Let's see what's going on here. Also, for some of you, you might just be perfectionists. You're allowed to make mistakes. Mistakes are not mistakes if you learn from them, okay? Let's see what else is going on here with not with relationships, but with health. With health, the first thing is basically letting go of any habit in your life that doesn't serve you. So for some of you, it's easy. Maybe you're just going to cut out sugar or caffeine or smoking or drinking. For some of you, this can also represent codependency or relationships. There could also be something from the past that you're working through. The thing is, when it's your body, there are multiple levels. It's not just physical. The health card touches mind, body, and spirit, which is why I put it here. It's not. The problem with Western medicine is we focus too much on the center, just the body. We forget about the psychological components of it. We forget about the spiritual components of it. So when we look at this, we have to decompress all of them. So this limit could be based on a lot of different things. So you're going to work with different people to help you heal that. It's not just one thing. Once you get past that, the sky's the limit. So you're breaking through a glass ceiling in your life. That's going to open up relationships. And that's going to open up this new sense of freedom for you. So I'm very happy in that respect. For some of you, there could also be an unexpected pregnancy if you've been trying and it didn't happen, or if there's been a block that could happen for some of you. You might also be looking at different ways. So here's the interesting thing. When it comes to a child or a pet, they will find you and the right connection will find you. So for some of you, it may be adoption or surrogacy or something else, not just, you don't have to have a child to have the child that wants to find you from spirit. When I manifested Apollo, I reached out into the stars and I waited for him to call me on the planet and say, I'm ready for an adoption. And I found him from a rescue. But it works the same way with a child and a partner for that matter. You reach out into the cosmos and say, this is what I'm seeking, and I'm willing to wait for that connection to happen. And I'm willing to be okay with it not being as I expected. It could come in an inconvenient time or in a different package, but that's the way it was supposed to come through. So open yourself up to receiving in a different way, because it seems like it's knocking on the door. It's in the environment. But there could be a block, like for some of you, there's only one way to do something or one person. So this is about releasing that limit. This opportunity wants to come through in a different shape or form, okay? The Magician card can also be triggers in your life when coupled with the devil. So for those of you that did overcome some sort of an addiction or temptation or something like that, the Magician is encouraging you to focus on activities and groups of people and things that continue to support the new healthy habit. Sometimes that means cutting out certain people or certain things from your life because they're still connected to that. Getting organized is going to help many of you. It's going to help you feel like you're in control of things, that you have things to focus on, and I like that. Ultimately, most of the cards are pretty good. This one is saying if you've been delaying getting an eye exam or you're just a physical exam, don't. Get it taken care of. Knowledge is power. This is mostly a fear-based card, and I'm not picking up on any problems, but it's just saying better to take care of yourself. You can't ignore things when we get the 8 of Swords or the 2 of Swords. That's it. That's it for health. It's pretty good overall. Try to avoid extremes. 9 of Cups, 10 of Cups, 3 of Cups can sometimes be a little bit overboard. But other than that, I like what I'm seeing. All right, let's move to the energy of wealth here. And so for wealth, we have Aries coming through, Aries in reverse, and it's saying fight for what matters, but also realize that there are some things that aren't worth the energy. We don't want to fight just for the sake of fighting. So God of War, Aries, of course, right? But there are people in our life that sometimes just like getting a rise out of us, right? And that would be connected to the devil energy. So there could be someone who just enjoys making things difficult, and you're going to choose to walk away from that, or you're going to choose to just say, this doesn't, you're barking up the wrong tree. So fight the fights that matter. Don't fight for the sake of fighting. That's the main message here. When it comes to work, there could be a combative work environment. There could be a weird work culture where they sort of push people against each other. The 5 of Wands is unnecessarily competitive. The answer with the 5 of Wands is to be collaborative, communicative, and cooperative. But too often, people pit teams against each other in the 5 of Wands. And they're like, well, that person's better than you, or why can't you be more like them? That is exactly the energy that the devil wants. Comparisons, putting people in boxes that they don't belong in, trying to get them to doubt their power. So you're going to walk away from those sorts of energies. And if you exist in an office or an environment, this can also, we're looking at wealth, but even if it's just like your living environment, that's, what's the word? Antithetical, I guess. It's the opposite of what you need to be supported and to thrive. You can't be in a fight or flight mode constantly. It's called a rat race for a reason when it's like that kind of, that's why I'm not in corporate culture. Not all corporations are like that, but many are. And when it's constant competition, it's exhaustion. Your body, your mind, it just gets tired, right? So I'm encouraging some of you to find a place where there's more harmony, more collaboration, more community, because it feels like that could be lacking for some of you. All right, let's take a look and see what's coming through when we're just looking at our money, our career, and our life purpose. So definitely when I'm looking at finances, and this connects to the channeled messages, get an understanding of it. The devil can be ignorance. So not knowing is not an excuse. If you need help with something, ask for help, get an expert, get the details. So we want to move away from ignorance and go towards education and empowerment. And that will get rid of the devil here. So understand your money matters, financial matters. Don't hand them all over to someone else. Don't just simply blindly trust. This is blind trust. Can't do that when it comes to money. You have to understand what's going on. So that's a tough but important message that's coming through in the cards. Once you do that, lots of opportunities open up and you feel this sense of power and you feel this sense of, like possibilities. You have more capacity to do things than maybe others have given you credit for or have given you room to do. Some of you are in a place where you're told, like, don't ask questions, don't do this, just do it the way I said. And maybe you are a visionary. Maybe that doesn't work for you. If you are, you'll find a place where that's appreciated and celebrated. It may not be where you're at. For some of you, you're just a perfectionist and you're afraid of what will happen if you're not perfect. Release that. Ultimately, 10 of Cups, networking card, new jobs, new opportunities, good news could be happening right around you. And we do see good news here. The sun can be very positive news coming through. So definitely spend a little bit more time in your relationship building. I mean, we're looking at wealth, but it could be friends, family, and coworkers. This is where the energy should be. Your next big thing is going to come from those groups, not so much from putting energy into whoever this is. By the way, it just seems too restrictive. The Hierophant and the Devil, really difficult if that's a boss. That's their way or the highway, and this is questionable motives. So we want to move beyond that. Do you like where you're at? Do you like what you're doing, or is it just this sort of energy? That'll help inform you of the next movement here. Also, speak up if something doesn't feel right. For sure. We talked about that at the beginning. Can you move beyond a block? Yes. If you've been unemployed, if you're at a bad job, if you're in a bad relationship, the hardest thing is moving out of that, but we see support, we see opportunity, we see some new things on the horizon. So it's important for you to kind of look beyond the present situation. This is not indicative of the future. It's just indicative of the here and the now. Okay? A lot of different ways to look at this. One very positive reading for Aries is he usually gets what he wants. So if there's something that you do want to fight for, you've got the upper hand with this particular energy coming through. Okay? It is competitive for those of you that are looking, but you also have Aries on your side here, okay? Now let's take a look at love and relationships. Romantic, platonic, friends and family. This is all about balance. We've been talking about this earlier. Do you feel seen? Do you feel appreciated? Do you feel heard? If not, it's time to rectify that. Balance. And that's what this is also the opposite of this. So this is controlling, this is imbalanced, this is harmony, this is balance, this is everything being sort of symbiotic. So that's the goal. Let's break it down into 3 different categories. Let's look at existing relationships first, and then we'll move on to looking for love or single and happy. For existing relationships, I usually look at 2 narratives. The first is you're in a loving relationship, but life is happening. So let's do that. If you're in a loving relationship and life is happening, you or your partner may be dealing with something out of your control. So it could be a health issue. It could be an environmental issue. There could have been, a property loss or something was stolen because we have the devil energy. So things will be not only okay, but usually there's going to be an unexpected positive outcome here. 10 of Cups and the Fountain card. The Fountain card is beyond expectation, something better beyond this. So there was a line, and I'm trying to remember where this came from, but doesn't matter. Sometimes humanity is at its best when things are at their worst. So we see oftentimes in times of war or famine or disaster, people coming together. So I see that there's people coming to support you in whatever challenge you have, including relationship challenges, including health, financial, or property loss. There's someone that's going to come through and say, I've got you. And you find a fast friend when that happens. So I think there's a good support team around you. Don't be afraid to lean on that. I also see some good news on the heels of something challenging. So this may have been out of your control, but the universe is finding balance by giving you something else. Slow down a little bit. So we have a Knight here of Swords. I didn't even talk about this. This is the fastest card. When it's reversed, it's saying slow down. In the relationships, slow down. Be more present. In your life, in your health, in everything, slow down a little bit. It's because I'm looking at a non-traditional deck. Sometimes I forget to mention that. Ultimately, as long as you're both willing to put in the work, things will work out. It is work. Relationships do take a little bit of work, but it's worth all of that, okay? If you are in a relationship where it doesn't feel good anymore, where the secrets are not worth keeping, where it feels like someone's trying to put you in a box and make you a person that you're not, it's time to move on. So there are two wildly different reads for relationships because there are two different relationship types that are watching. So for those just going through a difficult time, but there's commitment, stay honest, stay communicative. But for some of you, there's been secrets that have been kept and now secrets that have been exposed, and it may be too much. It may be too much too fast, and that's okay. That's okay. Remember, no matter what's going on, forgive yourself at the very least. Find a way to understand the other person. Try not to go into the energy of the Ten of Swords. It's not going to help. Open communication is the key to success with the devil. I still see positive outcomes here, even if there's something like this where there might be going your separate ways, okay? If you're single and looking for love right now, you can manifest. You can manifest pretty quickly. Some of you, it's a Capricorn. And so this could just be Capricorn. And it's actually good energy if it's Capricorn, because Hierophant, Capricorn, 10 of Cups. It's pretty solid. For those of you, though, that are trying to find love, don't rush it. So slowing down now becomes a very important piece, because this is basically settling for whatever comes through, the first available. We don't want to do that. Be discerning. The magician is kind of trying to put everything through the lens that I talked about earlier, so make sure that it's there. You can't fake it if you don't feel it. That Bonnie Raitt song, I can't make you love me if you don't. Yes, focus on that. You're either going to feel the spark or you're not. And if you don't feel the spark, I had a dream 2 days ago, and this is the next sign that I was going to be reading for. So this is super important, and this applies to you. What I saw in my dreams was someone going out on a second, possibly even a third date, and they didn't feel it. There was no spark. I could empathetically feel it. I was thinking, what are you doing? There's like zero physical connection, just intellectual. That person's a friend. They're not going to be a lover. Don't try to cast them in a role that doesn't fit. Don't try to convince yourself just because mom, dad, or it looks good on paper, whatever. No, it's not going to work. So the chemistry's there or it's not. Be honest, let them go sooner, or let them know that you just want to be friends. It's going to save you time. It may not be what you want to say or what you want to do, but it's the loving path to take, okay? Once you kind of do that and you're more specific, the other thing is specificity. So if you're manifesting a partner right now, not the first available. This isn't Vegas or like that TV show, no whammies. What you want to really say is, I'm looking for this. I'm ready to receive, but I'm not going to just take whatever. So when people just say, send me a man or send me a woman, and they send it out into the universe, no, don't do that. Or send me a person if you're non-binary or pan. This is not how you do it. You just want to say, no, you need to put a few riders on that. You have to say someone who is healthy, available, financially stable, emotionally available, ready to love, committed, unattached, whatever it is that you're looking for. Put those out there before you just say, send me a person now. That could be anybody with any number of issues. So slow it down and be specific is what the cards are saying here. Can you manifest someone? Absolutely. Might be a little bit younger, could be a lot of fun, could be really playful. Coming through with air qualities here. Like I get someone here who speaks before thinking, who acts kind of maybe impulsively, but they follow their gut and they speak from, like they shoot from the hip. So this is a younger air sign coming through. Could be a little bit of work. There's a lot here. You have to make sure that you're ready for that. Shifting the focus to those that are single and happy. It's a good time to be single and happy. We see here a lot of internal healing that wants to happen right now. That's going to help you build a really firm foundation. I think you're going to do a lot with networking, professionally, personally, possibly still love coming in even though you're not looking for it. I think you're going to start to really embrace your intuitive and your creative powers right now, which is great. It's a good time to be out there and have some fun. And if there's anything that you want to write or put out into the world right now, you're going to see some rapid movement on that. So professionally and personally, really good times for you. Still, you might be surprised at who or what comes knocking, because you're a very appealing energy right now. Okay, let's look at the destiny energy, which changes month to month. Kind of interesting card here. We have the beaver, which is a builder. The card is in reverse. And so with this card in reverse, it's saying some of you are tired, you're fatigued. It's sort of like, how much longer am I going to have to work on this? So for those of you that are going back to school or are still students, this is sort of that senioritis, we would call it, when you're in high school. But it's like, when am I done? When is this finished? For some of you, there's a dam of emotions that wants to break. So beavers build a dam, all the water kind of builds up. Water represents emotions. If the beaver's stepping back from that, it's maybe a chance for you to say, I don't need to hold on to this anymore. I can let go of this sadness, this feeling, this fear, this anxiety. I can just be myself and let whatever come through. And that's why the sun energy is here, okay? So I feel like no matter what, this is a release, this is a relief, and this is a chance to just sort of finish what you've started. Those are the three messages with the beaver. All right, so now we're going to go into sun, rising, and moon specific messages. As I said earlier, you can use it for all aspects of your chart, this reading, but I like to kind of like focus just a little bit more on the sun, rising, and moon. And again, we're reading for Aquarius. So Aquarius sun, Aquarius rising, Aquarius moon. For each of my readings, you can look at the different aspects of your chart, and I always put timestamps later in the day. So if you have different placements, you can go back and look at that later. All right, so let's focus now. Sun, rising, and moon. Sun, rising. Fantastic cards for this portion of it. So I really feel like you're all headed in a good direction. So for sun, we have the Three of Pentacles. When I was doing my details card, if I could put more than one, at the beginning when I do my channel messages, I was like, this could be another thing that I could do for the details, because you're discerning, you're very picky with this. Here's what I like about the Three of Pentacles. It's almost like a big Venn diagram. He's in the middle, but he's finding the places where things kind of like overlap. And so your power this month is to see potentially disparate or separate things in your life and find out why am I attracted to this group, to this job, to this thing. Start to see where everything's overlapping. This is going to help you find your purpose or find where you're being pulled away from your purpose. So I see this recognition of what matters, and that's great. The traditional Three of Pentacles has nothing but positive connotations. Here's what comes through with this. Mastery. Eight of Pentacles is apprenticeship. Three of Pentacles is mastery or graduation or completion. Recognition. Typically, we see at least two people in the periphery taking note, literally taking note of the work that you're doing. So here you're stepping on the stage, you're starting, it's almost like those are big lenses too. We talked about the different lenses, the macro, micro lenses. He's pulling them together and he's finally seeing himself the way others do. Valuable. This is a card of teaching and mentorship and being sort of well learned. So never underestimate your capacity, your mental capacity, your intelligence. This card is bringing all of that forward. It's a good month to learn. It's a good month to apply your knowledge. It's a good month to be seen. People are probably going to be recognizing you. That's why we got the sun in the environment. And that's why I want you to get past the disbelief that might be a part of the devil. And that's why we have this sort of breakthrough moment. And that's really what this month is about. Breaking through old sort of tethered energies, breaking through new potential, breaking through disbelief. This is a breakthrough month for you and it's exciting. So really good energy as we're looking at Aquarius sun. I see recognition and development coming through for you. As we go on to rising, you're even a few steps further. So we have the world in reverse. You're done. You're breaking through something, but you may not recognize just how close you are to the sort of, we won't even call it the finish line, but it's like the next leg of the journey. So with the world card in reverse, what it can represent for some of you is change that's happening quicker than expected, a necessary move, but maybe you're not ready to make the move. And also a nudge from the universe to look beyond what's in front of you. Maybe the next step in your journey requires, for like a company, globalization. For you, it could be requiring maybe a move to a different city, province, or country. There could be someone coming in from afar, bringing these sort of like expansive thoughts. It's expansive and borderless. And so it invites us to look beyond the borders in our life and to go further than we expect. And sorry, these two cards are connected. So we have 21 in this, and now we have one that doesn't even have a number, ostensibly 22 with the fountain. So you're already here, and this was at the center. So the sooner you embrace the fact that it's happening, that things are moving, the sooner you can go even further. It's almost like light speed, faster than light, FTL. And that's what's awaiting your sign this month. So the rising and ascendant often hits in finance and sort of social groups and how others perceive you. So your name is getting out there, your opportunities are opening up, and this is a chance for personal development and movement, particularly for rising and ascendant. It's exciting, I have to say, super exciting. As we look at moon sign, it's still a really good card here. We have the Chariot. I actually pulled this last week or so, and I talked about this. This illustration is kind of singular for the Chariot. Typically, you would see two horses, but we kind of see one here pulled between two directions. As I said in my one card reading a few days back, you can't be in two places at once. So this card is really, it's a call to action, and it's saying, where do you want to go? And it's also reminding you that you are the one that holds the reins and holds the key to your future. So it's important for you to decide what matters for you. Don't let other people kind of pull the reins for you, okay? So this is a card of reclamation of power. Speak up, speak often, speak out. And this is particularly true for people that have told you to not speak, to keep secrets, to be quiet. And God forbid if they told you to shut up. Because this month you're going to say, no, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to do it. This is why. And, you know, there's always people in your life that sometimes wish for you to be quiet, but I really feel like your throat chakra is opening up right now, and this is a chance for good things to come from your communication. Always be mindful, always be kind, and always kind of take the high road. That was today's one card read. But if you can do that, I think really positive things are on the horizon. And again, as we just kind of take a quick scan of the three, as we're looking at the sun sign recognition and completion and mastery, as we're looking at rising, you're already there. The door's already open and you've got 1 foot through it. It's just understanding that and seeing that even more is coming. And with moon, it's deciding where you want to be and understanding that you're the one that's going to accelerate and open those doors and windows of opportunity. Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to step into the final portion of the reading today, which comprises actually like 3 parts. We're going to meditate, pull a card, and then I just like to say thank you at the end. By the way, if you haven't already hit like and subscribe, please do that. Throughout the week, my times that I read can fluctuate a little bit, so you always want to make sure that you're informed about that. I read every Monday, Thursday, and Friday, but sometimes it's at 10, sometimes it's 11, sometimes it's closer to noon, so make sure you look so you don't miss out. I try to announce it the day before. All right, also you can give me a quick follow on social if you haven't already. I'll talk more about this at the end. Let's meditate first, and then we'll talk about everything else. Okay, so the next portion of the meeting, or the reading rather, is going to be 2 parts. I try my best to look at every aspect of everything for everyone, but this is general. So what I do at the end is bake in, one last question. And for that final question, you can meditate on anything that you need clarity on, and I'll pull a card. First, let's meditate though. So if you could please close your eyes, we're going to focus on the energy of expansion here. And we're going to imagine that we're opening up a portal in the sky. So close your eyes, see yourself laying on a hammock or laying on the earth itself, looking up at the stars above you. Imagine that you could gaze way beyond where you're at, way beyond the visible arms of the Milky Way. And as you're doing this, see the sky starting to open up, see all the stars coming into focus, and let's just breathe and ground ourselves first. So a nice deep breath, inhale. On the exhale, push into the earth anything that no longer serves you. Allow it to take it, recycle it, and ground it. Allow yourself to feel supported, almost as if there's a gigantic set of hands gently holding your body in place. And as you feel supported, nurtured, and safe, now gaze towards the heavens above. See in the distance, the spiral galaxy of Andromeda. And imagine as you're breathing, that galaxy is getting closer to you. The sky is starting to change. You're starting to see different constellations. And in front of you, you see a swirling portal of energy, almost like a big window. And we're just going to gaze into the window for a moment. Through this window, different things will come through. Confirmation that you are on the right path. Redirection if you need to be redirected. Possibly even messages from your guides. Simply know that this is a portal into the divine. So let's set an intention here for each of you to connect with your own version of divinity, to allow this window to make that closer to you. And rather than me telling you what's coming through, allow you to just be a channel of clear channel of energy to receive that as well. So I'm going to play the singing bowl for a moment, receive what you need to, and then we'll look at one final question. Keep breathing as I do this, and just sit back and relax. If you're someone who can't visualize easily, just see your energy clearing mind, body, and spirit so that we can look at this final question in a moment. Take one last deep breath, and as you exhale, see the sky return to its normal size. See all the constellations that you know come back into focus. Allow your breath to connect you to your body. Feel connected to the earth again. Carry with you all of the knowledge, all of the understanding that you are part of something amazing, that like the magician in the spread that we just looked at, you are navigating, directing, and manifesting in real time. To that end, now let's take a look at the final question that you have for me. Anything that wasn't yet answered, let's reach out to the stars, to the higher powers, and see, what is it all about? What's the answer? Nine of Pentacles, quite nice, because we really didn't get many Pentacles here. No Earth cards to speak of, actually. So, yay to this. Nine of Pentacles in reverse is basically begging for patience. We don't see the snail in this card, but you know it's there. In the typical Nine of Pentacles, we would see a garden snail, which is saying slow and steady, wins the race. We normally would see what looks like grapevines or just these rich shrubs behind her with all of the pentacles, all the fruits of her labor. So know this, you're working exactly where you need to be working to create abundance in your life. This card is about independence. So the message here is you can do this, you can handle this, and we see much more abundance on the horizon than there may be in the right here and now, in the here and now. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The fierce independence when reversed is saying, you don't have to do it all alone. The Nine of Pentacles is very close to completion, but it's not there. So it's saying, don't give up before you've finished what you set out to do. Anything worth doing takes time, so you can't rush things. I love gardening. You can see some of my plants. I love that I can actually, you can see it. I always had a balcony at my old place, but you couldn't see it. So I plant different flowers that bloom in different seasons. In the center, I have an amaryllis, which will be coming up. The Easter lily's gone, but I have other flowers around it, and I have a cacti there in the background. Plus here I have some orchids as well. But I always like different seasons, different energies. It takes time. I love watching things slowly grow. And then eventually when it blooms, you're like, it was worth it. So it's worth the slow investment of time and energy for something beautiful to happen. Keep your ears and eyes open. We see the bird coming through, which carries messages, but you have to be attuned to listen to the bird, okay? So I see openings for abundance. Again, a cautionary note about rushing, which we've talked about a couple of times. Slowing down was a big part of the Knight of Swords in reverse. So slow down, pay attention to things, be discerning. You should be good. All right, I hope that answered your questions. Thank you everybody for showing up today. As I said earlier, I'd love for you to follow me on social media. A quick note, it's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, no extra punctuation, spaces, or characters. I do not offer any private readings. If somebody says, you just want a reading, no, you didn't. If they offer you product and service, ignore it. The only place to connect is here on YouTube. You can also get official information on my website or just on the About tab here on YouTube. Great way to sort of discern the real from the fake. If you would like to give back a little bit, there's a few ways to show support. Everything I do here is free, but you can give back in the way of a super sticker, super chat. There's a little heart on the replay, super thanks. And you can also join right now and become a member. That's a way to sustain and do it each month without putting much energy into it. I always try to say thanks to the members on the monthlies at the end. So give me a second here. And I want to give some gratitude for everybody that showed up today. You have a lot of choices here on YouTube, and it is something that I never take for granted that you decided to spend some time with me today. So thank you guys, I appreciate it. And I always I was looking forward to seeing how all of these dreams were coming through and what they meant. And it's always nice to see the cards, so it all makes sense to me too. All right, so let's look at the recent member activity first. Veronica and Jamie, thanks for joining. Jamie, thank you for being a star channel member. That extra bit goes a long way, especially when it comes to helping me produce things like a podcast and things. So thank you. Much appreciated for everybody. Also, let's see if we got any supers today. And then if not, I'll just say welcome to the existing members. So we got a couple today. Yay. Lucy and Catherine, I appreciate you guys both. Thank you so much for those stickers and for giving back a little bit extra. I'd like to also acknowledge the members that are currently in the chat. So Jill, good to see you. Sapo as well. You guys are here many times per week, and I do see you and appreciate you. Let's see if anyone else came through. Just Be, also welcome. And thank you for rewatching it on replay. I appreciate that. And that's everybody for today. Everybody else, lots of love and light to you. Please do hit the subscribe if you haven't already. The next time we get to a milestone, maybe I'll do a Q&A, maybe I'll do something else. I do that every time we hit 25,000. So it takes a while. Usually it takes 6 months to a year. But whenever we get there, I appreciate it. So in advance, lots of love and light to you. I'll be back again tomorrow to wrap up for the month ahead, Pisces. We have an extra day this month, and I think it's falling on a holiday here in the States, so I'll probably do a bonus reading. I haven't decided what yet, but I'll figure something out. So in the meantime, lots of love and light to all of you. I'll see you again on the weekend again for the weekly collective. And until we talk again, wishing you love, light, and lots of abundance. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.